Welcome to the video. So in this video, we're going to be going over our timeline again, and I'm going to be showing you how everything just really fits perfectly together now. Now that I know that Passover begins on April 12th at sunset, and it's actually exactly, the backstop to our symbolism goes up exactly to as Passover begins. So I'm going to show you how that's incredibly significant, as well as if you watched the last video, the backstop for the sun destruction and the church to be here is the next full moon. And the next full moon begins on, I think, April 12th at 8:22 p.m. So essentially we have our symbolism expires, Passover begins, and then the full moon. So everything just really coincides perfectly. And some of the symbolism that we're going to look at in this video really coincides with it. So yeah, I think you guys are going to like this one. And as well, if you're new to the channel or this is like the first video you're watching in regards to this kind of like study of symbolism in the Bible, um, this is not going to be this is not going to be a video that you want to watch first. Like you're going to want to go back and watch other videos because this is actually the second time I've made this video. And the first time I went through, I tried to explain thoroughly all of our symbolism, and it just became like incredibly long, like unusually long. So, for the sake of brevity, I'm not going to re-explain a lot of things in this video. I'll try and definitely do like a brief recap, but to go through all of our symbolism again, it was just a little too much. So if this is your first time watching this channel, definitely go back and watch some other videos before this one. So you'll be able to kind of understand more what's going on. But yeah, so before we begin here, I'll just read a quick and simple gospel. John chapter 3, verse 16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. And that's all you have to do. All you have to do is believe in him. It doesn't matter how good of a person you've been in your life, or how often you've gone to church, or given to charity, or even prayed. There's no cosmic equation of good deeds that you've done that results in your salvation. There's only one way to salvation, and that is through believing in Christ's sacrifice on the cross. That is the narrow way. That is your only path to salvation. There's no other religion in the world that will give you that salvation. He is the narrow gate. It's the only way. And it's a free gift, and all you have to do is accept it. Okay, so before we begin here, I'm just going to do a quick recap just on what we talked about in the last video, as this is going to be important to this one. So, in the Back to the Future symbolism, they show you this twice. They show you 9/11 and then 3/14, which is as we know now, this is our pi blood moon on March 14th, 2025. And what it seems they're showing you here it would be 9/11, which is obviously the September 11th attack. However, what they're actually showing you is the last full moon before that attack, which was on September 2nd, 2001. So what they're showing you here is the last full moon before the next major attack, which is the 3/14 pi blood moon. So this is going to be very important because this gives us our backstop. So I might have a tab pulled up for this. Let's just go to Moon Giant here. So it's important to know that we will not be here for this full moon here. So this is the area of time we're looking at here for that 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 3, sudden destruction and the departure of the church. And I'm going to show you why everything just fits perfectly in together here now. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to our notes here. And we're not going to do a full recap. I tried to do the full recap, and this video just ended up being ridiculously long. And yeah, we're not going to go over everything again, but brief recap for our 923 and our 113 symbolism. We have this checked off perfectly for the 10th to the 12th. So if we go down here, actually, let's get rid of this one. I'll just keep this one just for the sake of it. So April 7th to 8th, we have our Nissan 10. This gives us our X symbolism, which is our 124. We're checked off for this. However, this does not overlap with our 923 and 113 symbolism. So definitely leery of this one. I don't believe, like, obviously something could happen, but we're definitely looking for a complete overlap in terms of the symbolism. And I'll show you which days have that. So essentially what we're looking for here is to get to our 104, 1024 XX symbolism, which, as I've shown in previous videos, is just a continuum. It all just feeds into itself. There's like portals through a Bible verse, but it goes back and forth. So this one checks off all the boxes here. This is April 10th to 11th, which is Nisan 13th, which is the first month in the rabbinical calendar. So this is 113. And if we just reduce that, we get 1-4, add the 3 to the 1. There's our 104. Pretty easy. That's how we get our 104 symbolism, which is just coincides with all the rest. So this one we're going to go look at down here is a little more important. I'm going to show you how we get 128. And if you watch the previous video, you see that 128 is very important because this is essentially the distance to this date from the pi blood moon. So I'm going to show you how this might actually be a double confirmation. And we're going to look at more symbolism in this video that'll show us that 128. But this is why this date is what I'm looking at more importantly, especially because, as I mentioned before, Passover is going to be important. So this takes us to sunset on the 12th in Israel, and Passover begins at sunset on April 12th. So just as our symbolism runs out, Passover begins, which we'll go look at the significance of Passover here first. So what is the meaning of Passover? Passover in Judaism is a holiday celebrating the Hebrews' liberation from slavery in Egypt and the passing over of the forces of destruction or the sparing of the firstborn of the Israelites. So you can immediately see the importance of this to the church being taken before the sudden destruction in First Thessalonians. It's almost a perfectly fitting symbolism right here, and I'm going to show you why this is. There's even a stronger reference than this. So essentially, the church in this world are the slaves in Egypt, the Israelites, and they're being taken or passing over before the destruction comes. So it's a perfect typology. So we're gonna go to Luke chapter 22, and I'm gonna read verse 14 through 16. So this is in the context of this. This is at the Last Supper. So the Last Supper. I'll go to this slide first here or tab. So. The Last Supper took place in the week of Passover, so very important here. So, and when the hour has come, he sat down, and the 12 apostles with him. And he said unto them, With desire I have desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I say unto you, I will not any more eat thereof until it be fulfilled in the kingdom of God. So he will not eat Passover with us until we are in the kingdom with him. So. This is it just fits perfectly with the church because the disciples here, that's obviously representative of the church, the believers, and if we're taken right before Passover, it just fits perfectly. So this is very, very important. So that just fits perfectly with our timeline. So given that this date right here, so the 11th to 12th, fits perfectly with all our symbolism, which I'll cover in a sec how it works out. It just fits in incredibly well. Like it couldn't possibly fit any better. So, sorry, Nisan 14. So that's 114. So I'm going to show you how we're going to get our 1-4. So we go. This is a little contrived, but trust me, if you've studied their symbolism for long enough, like. It definitely takes some work to get to the correct answers. They don't make it easy for you by any means. A good example for that would be the showing us 9-11 here, even though it's 9-2. It took me quite a while to figure that out. So they don't make it easy for you by any means. But so if we look at 114 here, we add the 1 to the 4. This gives us 1-5. 5 in Roman numerals is V. And V in ordinal gematria, we'll pull that up here. I think I got gematria tab open, so I'll try to remember that part later. So we got V is 22. So we got 22 here, and then we add the 2 to the 2, and we get 1-4. So we just make our way back to 1-4, which is 104, which through the verse Daniel 10, chapter 10, verse 4, we get 1024, then XX, and it just continues on. So in the same day, we're going to get a very also important number here. So Nisan 14, 114. So this one we're going to break it down into the full Roman numeral here. So we have X and then four like ones over here. So X in ordinal gematria is 24. So we have 24, and then we have like the four ones. We add that together, we get 128. So this is almost like a double confirmation because from the blue blood moon to this date is 28 days. So the fact that we can break our Nisan date down into 128 as well, which they show you 128 so many times, especially whereas yeah, this kind of event was very important. We've covered this previously, but you have 128 days left. So the fact that we can get both of those confirmations on the same day, along with all of this, very, very important. And then below here, Passover begins right after this, full moon, April. So another thing I mentioned before is that from, let's just pull up the verse here. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 15, verse 52 here. So, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. So that's the rapture, the church being taken, and you're being changed into your resurrection body, your immortal, incorruptible body. And so right here, you're given three seemingly time markers. So we're going to break these down here. I think I've done this previously, but I'll do it again. So in a moment, that is, I believe, how fast it happens. Like you're changed in a moment. That's your speed. So in the twinkling of an eye, I believe is the time of day. So in the twinkling of an eye is a Jewish idiom for it's that indescribable moment between day and night, which we know as twilight, essentially. So in the twinkling of an eye, that's twilight. So given that it's a Jewish idiom and it happened, given that it's a Jewish idiom and the time change between days here, so I'll start from the beginning here. So the Jewish calendar, the rabbinical, the time change is at sunset. So sunset ends the day and begins a new one. So if our time change into Passover on the 12th here, or the 12th at sunset, is at sunset, and then we're told here that we're changed at sunset, it just perfectly coincides. So if you're looking for a time of day, definitely look for sunset in Israel, as Israel is where the time change happens. So there's your time of day right there. And at the last trump is, people have fun with this one. A lot of people, so if you've watched my videos in terms of like the lavender decodes, you're going to have a general idea of what the last trump implies. Whether that's what was implied with the verse here that Paul was writing, obviously it was inspired by God, but if that's what was implied here, who knows? It very well could be. I chalk this up as not too important. It could be the last trump in terms of, I read a comment a while ago where someone told me that given that like the magnetic poles are changed, that like the fall feasts are now in the spring technically. I don't know anything about that, but that would reason that like our the feet there. Sorry, geez, why is it escaping me right now? The Feast of Trumpets is it like in the spring, and then like it's like 100 trumpet blasts, and like the last trumpet. There's like this could be in reference to the last trump. This I really I really don't know too much about. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments. Whether this is a particular U.S. president or just simply the last Trump, or I have a kind of theory that like when the rapture happens, only the believers are the ones that are going to hear the trumpet sound. So perhaps it's a series of trumpet blasts that like progress, and it's just your kind of warning, and like the last one is when you're taken. That's my kind of like theory. This is very, very ambiguous. Like there's definitely a lot of theories surrounding that. Like I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, but yeah. So this is your time of the day that we're looking at for that. So yeah, that it all just fits together perfectly, very, very well. So the next thing we're going to move on to here is we're going to look at, let's go here. So this individual right here. So Raw Repent made a few good videos on this, and I couldn't quite, I don't in terms of like this, I don't really have my kind of like a quote unquote smoking gun where I can point, say this date perhaps, and then like we're gonna go to April 12th, and there's just like an insane correlation to it. We don't necessarily have that. There is a very interesting correlation I'm gonna go over, but I'll give you kind of like the cliff notes of his video. So I haven't researched into this enough to know exactly. So apparently Matthew Perry, his family's name is actually Sela, Sela, like Sela. So as he was explaining, it's some sort of play on before the flood began. I believe this is in like the apocryphal text. Like I think he reads a bit of the apocrypha, like the Book of Enoch. I do have that, and I've read a bit of it, but I don't know it enough to like speak on it per se. But apparently Methuselah, which was the oldest living man at the time, he was the son of Enoch and the grandfather of Noah, and he died just before the flood, and I believe that's contained in the Book of Enoch. So a lot of people see Methuselah's death as the kind of like a sort of catalyst to the flood beginning, as it happened apparently at the same time. I'll have to go and read the Book of Enoch. I only read a bit of it so far, so but yeah, if his he pointed out that his family name was actually Sela. So if you say that out loud, it's Matthew Sela, Methuselah, Methuselah. So for anyone that's like like not a Christian, this is gonna sound crazy, but this could be kind of like your symbolic Methuselah right here. So I'll show you why his death encodes a lot of the symbolism that we're looking at. So right away you can probably see it. You have October 28th. So there's your 128. So you have your 28 days from the blood moon to the date we're looking at, with the one being give or take for the time zone, as well as you have our, as we showed here, Nissan 14 can be broken down into 128 as well. So it could really reference both things. An interesting thing also is that he died on a full moon. So let's go to October 23 moon giants. Yeah, I got a feeling this is gonna be another long video, but that's okay. So yeah, he died on a full moon, so that's kind of interesting within itself. And we're gonna look at some very interesting things as well. So we'll go back to the notes here. So he died on 128. So we got our 128 here, and he was pronounced dead at 4:17. I'm gonna assume this is PM. It doesn't really matter for our kind of decode here. So looking at this here, I saw right away we have our 4. We're going to assume that's our month. That's our April right there. And then 17 here. So we're going to take 17 and we're going to get the full Roman numeral again. So we have XV22. So X, as we showed earlier, is 24. V is 22, and then we have our 2 there. So we're going to add everything up. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2 gives us 12. So there we have 412, which is also our 128. So I don't know why I said I didn't really have a quote unquote smoking gun, but this is pretty convincing. So yeah, so that's very, very interesting. It's another one of those things which I had kind of like a feeling for a long time that it was an important date. And we're gonna look at some more symbolism later involving him. Actually, we'll look at it right now. So yeah, so we're gonna watch a scene from 17 again, which is like, it's kind of like a comedy with Matthew Perry and Zac Efron, but there's a lot of symbolism within this one scene, which you can tell me if I'm reading into this a bit too much. I'm gonna pause as we go along the way, and we're just gonna talk about it. So. Okay, so right off the bat here, I just watched the movie Noah with Russell Crowe. So they had an almost identical scene. It was like a water droplet falling from that distance and landing on his face, and that was like the beginning of the rain that became the flood. So what you could have symbolized there is the beginning of the flood. Okay, so the radio obviously stops at a point where they want you to see it. And right there, you have, I couldn't get anything out of this. Maybe someone will figure that out. But Obviously, right here you have your 1028, which is that's the day that Matthew Perry died. So is that what they're trying to show us here? I think in a way, I think in a way his death is pointing to a future date, but we have the 1028 there. They obviously want you to see that, and as we covered earlier in their video, that's our Nissan 14 reduced, as well as the days from the Pi blood moon. So very, very important date. So we'll just keep going here. Okay, so I had an idea of what we could be being shown here. I think there's a very obvious thing being shown here with they show you the exact same thing in the Simpsons Thank God It's Doomsday episode, is you have your six full moons between the October 2nd Rosh Hashanah eclipse and then before the church departs. So you have your six full moons there. That'd be like October, November, December, January, February, March. And then in the next scene, they show you just two of them. Oh, it was back there. At one point, they just show you two. So that could be your blue moon symbolism for your March blood moon. And then you have this old guy jumping here. So I'm just going to tell you what I think this is. So I think this is like symbolic of your quote unquote fall guy. This is your 88. You guys are Lavender. You guys know who I'm talking about. So I think that's showing you what you're gonna see prior to the church being taken, which they're gonna show you right now. Okay, then he's been taken into a portal, and then he becomes like 17 again, and that. But that's yeah, very very interesting symbolism within that, especially the 1028, which obviously is the day he died, and then we're gonna assume that's like a later date. So that one's very very interesting. I'll see what else I had here for notes. We're making pretty good time, I think. So there was one gematria I wanted to look at, and we can actually just move this up here. Actually, we'll talk about this all together here. So we're going to go to 17 again. So we have 237 and 144. If we subtract the 144 from the 237, this gives us 96. So I'm going to go back to the notes here. And what I've kind of included down here is just a kind of like cliff notes of certain numbers and the constellations they represent. So all of these on the left here, this is the number of stars within the constellation. And if you've studied symbolism or you've watched my videos for a long time, you'll see that these are very, very reoccurring. So 96 here, that's what we got from the scene where he fell. And we're going to go over and we're going to look at the scene from Leave the World Behind. I'm not going to play the scene, but she has 96 here, which is the number of stars in Virgo. And then on her arm down here, which I couldn't find a clip of it in here, it says full. So that's your hint for a full moon in Virgo, which, let's just go to Stellarium right now. So let's get the moon here. And then we're going to go to March 14th. So there we are in Virgo. So full moon in Virgo. We're going to go forward now to the 13th. And let's just go back a few hours just to make the point that, yeah, the full moon again is in Virgo. So there you have your two full moons in the constellation Virgo with 96. So with what we're being shown there, that could just be pointing towards the March blood moon, or it could be pointing towards the first full moon of the tribulation. Either or, not particularly important to us. So let's see if we're on the 12th here. So this is actually the day that the church is still here. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, so our full moon is at 8 p.m. So that'd be right around there. So we're still in Virgo here. I'm gonna just go to Moon Giant here. I'm just gonna make sure when that moon, the moon, we get a full moon there. So let's go over. It says the 13th. Let's go to the 13th there. Okay, I guess it is in the 13th. I don't know why I thought it was in the 12th, but yeah. So 13th full moon there. That could be what you're being shown as the first day of the tribulation. But down here we have 68. That's Sagittarius there. They say that in The Simpsons, it's like I made 68 albums or whatever. 86 is Pisces. This one's very, very interesting. I had a comment. I looked for this comment for like 15 to 20 minutes. I couldn't find it. This one lady mentioned how she had a dream or a vision where it had something to do with fishing, and then there was something to do with the sun. So that led me to kind of look into where exactly the sun is at the timeline we're looking at. So let's go to the sun here. I wish I could have the username. I truly looked for it. So the sun, for the entire duration of the periods that we're looking at, or the days that we're looking at here, is in Pisces, which is the fish constellation. So there's your 86 right there. So yeah, Pisces and Virgo. So that definitely makes a lot of sense there. But yeah, for the entire timeline we're looking at, the sun is in Pisces. So that could be your fish symbolism, your 86. I think it's 86. So yeah, 86 for Pisces. So that accounts for a lot of the symbolism we've seen. So the last thing that we're going to look at here is we're going to go to, so Matthew Perry died in, let's see, he died in a hot tub. So they said it was a drug overdose. Let's go hot tub. Okay. Should have it here. Matthew Perry's death in a hot tub. Okay, yeah, he died in a hot tub. So we're gonna go look over. This is just, it's not particularly important, but it's gonna confirm a couple things here. So this is the trailer for Hot Tub Time Machine here. I think I can play this and I won't get copyrighted. Let's just roll the dice.
Winner, best 86.
I don't understand how we back in time.
I'm so scared.
Must be some kind of hot tub time machine.
I love the way you said that. But yeah, so we look at the kind of like thing here, and we have 104. There's our obvious 104 symbolism, 1024, etc. And then down here we have over here we have 1986. So 86, as we just looked at, is I can remember it off the top of my head. That's Pisces. So 86. So that just affirms our kind of stellarium where we're looking at. So we have 86 suns in Pisces throughout this whole period we're looking at. So that's a nice little confirmation as well. So I wish I could thank that person. I'll try and like go back and see if I can find it. I think it was in a post, and I make so many posts they're just like they're hard to keep track of. But yeah, that's a nice little confirmation as well. But yeah, that's pretty well everything I wanted to look at in this video. And yeah, a lot of really good confirmations. I have to say, like the best thing I found was just like looking into Passover, as our symbolism ends and Passover begins, and it's just perfect typology, perfect symbolism, and everything just fits together incredibly well. It's just looking better and better, and it's looking worse and worse for the stock market. So let's just go to a little news here. I made a post earlier today about Black Monday, which was I found a few interesting correlations, but yeah, if you look at here. Black Monday, yeah, stocks are looking terrible, and there is the fall guy right there. And let's go see if BO was in the news today here. Yeah, he is very prevalent in the news. So I don't think I've even mentioned this in previous videos, but I believe you're looking at your real AC right there. Obviously, there's different members of the AC. If you read Revelation, I think that's one of them. And then you have the man right there. That's the guy. So I guess that's kind of good. I included it in one video, so anyone who's like left behind and watching this will kind of understand that prediction. But yeah, so that's everything I wanted to cover in this video, and I'm gonna try and make the videos a little more frequent. I think I'm still going at a pace of like one every like 2 to 3 days, but there's a lot happening, and I think this week is going to be incredibly interesting. So I might make videos a little more often than I am. But yeah, that's everything I wanted to show, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, just please like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends. God bless you. Thank you very much.